On November 22, 1963, the world watched in horror as President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. The shocking event left an indelible mark on American history, spawning countless conspiracy theories and unanswered questions. For decades, the government kept a tight lid on thousands of documents related to the assassination, fueling speculation and mistrust. Finally, after 60 long years, the truth is emerging from the shadows. In 2025, the government released a massive trove of JFK assassination files, offering a glimpse into one of the most scrutinized events in modern history. This long-awaited release has reignited public interest and scholarly debate, as people around the world hope to separate fact from fiction. While the files don't offer a single smoking gun, they provide crucial insights into the events leading up to that fateful day in Dallas. The release marks a victory for transparency and accountability, but the fight is far from over. Thousands of documents remain classified, leaving many questions unanswered. As we delve into the newly released files, we must demand full disclosure from our government. The American people deserve to know the whole truth about one of the darkest chapters in their nation's history. The JFK assassination files encompass a vast collection of documents, photographs, and audio recordings. These materials offer a unique window into the intelligence community's activities during the Cold War and the investigation into Kennedy's death. The sheer volume of information is staggering, encompassing thousands of pages of reports, memos, and correspondence. Among the released documents are CIA files detailing their surveillance of Lee Harvey Oswald, the man officially identified as Kennedy's assassin. These files shed light on Oswald's movements in the months leading up to the assassination, including his travels to Mexico City and his contact with Soviet and Cuban officials. Other documents provide a glimpse into the inner workings of the CIA, revealing their methods of intelligence gathering and covert operations. The files also offer a broader context for the assassination, delving into the political climate of the early 1960s. This period was marked by Cold War tensions, the Bay of Pigs invasion, and the Cuban Missile Crisis. Understanding this historical backdrop is essential to fully grasping the complexities surrounding Kennedy's assassination and the subsequent investigations. The CIA's surveillance of Lee Harvey Oswald is one of the most intriguing aspects of the newly released files. Oswald, a former U.S. Marine who defected to the Soviet Union in 1959, returned to the United States in 1962 with his Russian wife. His movements immediately attracted the attention of the FBI and CIA, who placed him under surveillance. The released documents reveal that the CIA was closely monitoring Oswald's activities, particularly his trip to Mexico City just weeks before the assassination. While in Mexico City, Oswald visited the Soviet and Cuban embassies, raising suspicions about his motives. Some historians believe that Oswald's contact with foreign officials during this trip points to a possible conspiracy, while others maintain that he was acting alone. The files also reveal that the CIA was aware of Oswald's pro-Castro leanings and his attempts to travel to Cuba. Despite this knowledge, the agency failed to share crucial information with the FBI, which was also investigating Oswald. The lack of communication between the two agencies raises questions about whether the assassination could have been prevented if they had shared intelligence more effectively. The Bay of Pigs invasion, a failed attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro's regime in Cuba, cast a long shadow over the Kennedy administration. The disastrous operation, planned and executed by the CIA, humiliated the United States and solidified Castro's grip on power. The newly released files provide further insights into the CIA's role in the Bay of Pigs and its aftermath. The files reveal that Kennedy was deeply critical of the CIA's handling of the Bay of Pigs invasion. He felt misled by the agency and blamed them for the operation's failure. In the wake of the disaster, Kennedy vowed to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces. The files also showed that the CIA was actively plotting to assassinate Castro, even after the Bay of Pigs fiasco. The Kennedy administration's strained relationship with the CIA is a crucial aspect of the assassination story. Some historians believe that rogue elements within the CIA, angered by Kennedy's handling of the Bay of Pigs and his attempts to curtail their power, may have played a role in his assassination. While no concrete evidence supports this theory, the newly released files highlight the tensions that existed between the White House and the CIA in the early 1960s. Section 5. The Shadow of the Cold War. The assassination of John F. Kennedy unfolded against the backdrop of the Cold War, a period of intense geopolitical rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. The two superpowers were locked in a nuclear standoff, and the threat of global conflict loomed large. The Cold War permeated every aspect of American life, from foreign policy to domestic politics. The fear of communist infiltration was rampant, and the CIA played a central role in combating Soviet influence around the globe. The newly released files reveal the extent of the CIA's covert operations during this period, including their attempts to influence elections, overthrow governments, and assassinate foreign leaders. In this context of heightened tensions and suspicion, the assassination of President Kennedy sent shockwaves through the United States and the world. Some believed that the Soviets were responsible, while others suspected a conspiracy involving Cuba or other communist actors. The Cold War cast a long shadow over the investigation into Kennedy's death, making it difficult to separate fact from fiction and fueling countless conspiracy theories. Section 6: Oswald and the KGB. Fact or fiction? Lee Harvey. Oswald's alleged connections to the KGB, the Soviet Union's intelligence agency, have been a source of intense speculation since the assassination. Oswald's defection to the Soviet Union in 1959 and his subsequent return to the United States with a Russian wife raised red flags for U.S. intelligence agencies. The newly released files shed some light on Oswald's relationship with the KGB, but they do not provide definitive answers. Some documents suggest that Oswald may have been in contact with KGB agents while living in the Soviet Union and after his return to the United States. However, other documents cast doubt on these claims, suggesting that Oswald was a disgruntled loner acting on his own. A KGB official concluded in 1991 that Oswald was never a KGB agent and was, in fact, a poor marksman. This assessment is consistent with the official conclusion that Oswald acted alone in assassinating Kennedy. However, the lack of conclusive evidence about Oswald's ties to the KGB continues to fuel speculation and debate among historians and conspiracy theorists alike. Section 7: Echoes of Tragedy, MLK, and RFK. The assassination of John F. Kennedy was not the only tragedy to grip the United States in the 1960s. The murders of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968 and Senator Robert F. Kennedy in 1968 shook the nation to its core, and left many wondering if these events were connected to the Kennedy assassination. While the newly released JFK assassination files do not offer any direct links between these tragedies, they do reveal the extent to which the FBI and CIA were monitoring King and other civil rights leaders. The agencies were obsessed with King, fearing his growing influence and his calls for racial justice. The files show that the FBI used illegal surveillance tactics to monitor King's activities and discredit him publicly. The files also contain documents related to the investigation into Robert F. Kennedy's assassination. However, these documents do not provide any significant new insights into the case. The fact that the files contain information about these related assassinations highlights the climate of violence and political turmoil that characterized the 1960s. Section 8. The fight for full disclosure. The release of the JFK assassination files represents a significant step towards transparency, but the fight for full disclosure is far from over. Thousands of documents remain classified, hidden from public view. While some redactions are understandable to protect sensitive information, the sheer volume of withheld material raises concerns about what the government is still trying to hide. Several reasons explain why some documents remain classified. Some relate to national security concerns, while others involve protecting the privacy of individuals mentioned in the files. However, many argue that the government is using these justifications to suppress potentially embarrassing or incriminating information. The continued secrecy surrounding the JFK assassination only serves to fuel conspiracy theories and erode public trust. The American people have a right to know the full truth about this pivotal event, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. The fight for full disclosure must continue until all remaining documents are released and all questions are answered. Section 9. Transparency and the Pursuit of Truth. The release of the JFK assassination files, while incomplete, is a victory for transparency and accountability. It demonstrates the importance of open government and the public's right to know. In an era marked by misinformation and distrust, accessing historical documents is paramount to understanding the past and learning from its mistakes. While the files may not provide definitive answers to all the questions surrounding Kennedy's assassination, they offer valuable insights into this pivotal moment in American history. More importantly, they represent a commitment to truth and transparency, principles that are essential for a healthy democracy. The pursuit of truth is an ongoing process, and the release of these files is just one step on that journey. As we continue to grapple with the legacy of the JFK assassination, we must remain committed to seeking the truth, demanding accountability from our leaders, and safeguarding the principles of transparency and open government.